What is up, everybody? Man, I'm so humbled today to have with us Michael Cochern here with us with Cochern and Company. First of all, I shouldn't have did what I did off air because I got to do it again. I got to tell you, like, oh man, here we go. I got to tell you, man. Uh, I love your music. I love the thoughtfulness, the way you write, that soul searching music. As I said before, man, it is a breath of fresh air that you take the time to be as thoughtful as you are with your music. I'm a lyric guy myself, you know what I mean. So, but I do got to say, man, some of the things that you say, and even down my even down with church, I remember those times like I'm never going back to that place. and so, for you to write music where it's like, oh, I was that guy. So I want to start off with, first of all, saying thank you for taking this interview, and secondly, and most importantly, thank you for taking the time to spend time with God and write these wonderful lyrics. But for those who don't know, this is Michael Cochern. I don't know how you don't know. Yeah, but I want to start with this. When did you fall in love with music?
Man, from an early age, first of all, thank you so much for everything you said, and thanks for having me on, man. For real, it means so much. I fell in love with music, man. Just my earliest memories. I loved it. There's home videos of me just like dancing before I even had memories in the living room to a show that was on TV or a music song that was on TV or something, and I just always loved it. My grandparents were always singing. They sang at like weddings and funerals, and my grandpa would sing in church. My grandma played the organ and piano in church, and my dad could play guitar and sing. And I don't know, I always loved it. Took piano lessons as a kid, played drums, and did musicals in high school and stuff. It was just like always kind of my thing. I never was super athletic, so music was my thing.
Well, I can tell that you play with your heart. Do you have a weapon of choice? Is it guitar? Is it piano? Is there one you stay away from?
Well, piano is definitely my comfort zone. I took lessons as a kid, and then when I began to really take music more seriously in high school, I just cut my teeth watching Billy Joel YouTube videos. And just man, I would just like play and pause, rewind, play, pause, rewind, and figure out how he was playing what he was playing.
Yeah, no, Billy Joel, I get it. Now, I do got to ask you this because, I think sometimes we'll focus on, trying to sound like someone else and this and that. Where did your musical influence come from?
Yeah, definitely Billy Joel.
Okay, gotcha.
Love him. Really a melting pot. My dad was always playing like the Eagles when I was growing up, and classics, man. Yeah, just Jackson Brown and 70s singer-songwriter stuff. My mom was like feeding me a steady diet of anything from, 80s soft rock ballads to Stephen Curtis Chapman to all kinds of stuff. And my grandparents were like big Southern gospel fans. So the Gaither homecoming videos.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it just kind of all. And then I discovered this band, this vocal group when I was a kid called NSYNC. And I loved them, man. And I loved Boyz II Men. And so all of that soul and the gospel and the classic rock, everything kind of just converged together, man.
And it makes so much sense now. Because I was gonna say, like, I'm like, man, you really capture it all comes out, just the thoughtfulness, the way you write, and I'm like, man, this guy gets it. You really do get it. You really do nail that. So, and one of the things is that I can tell it definitely influenced how you write. Is that true? Like that you realize that conveying that message and getting these lyrics across were absolutely important because you are a profound writer.
Man, thank you so much. I'm all about the lyrics. I love it, and I think my favorite songs were so lyric driven. I love Michael Jackson. I love all that stuff where it's more about the vibe and the feeling that you get. But I listen to my favorite song probably of all time is New York State of Mind, Billy Joel. And it's about what he's saying and how the lyrics make you think and feel. And I wanted to convey that. And I was like, man, if I can write about what's important to me and my faith in a way that just really grabs people and takes them on kind of a visual journey too. I definitely wanted to go that route.
Yeah, yeah. Now you're going to be on the Hits Deep tour.
Yeah, man, we
You're
are.
on it. You guys are rocking and rolling already. How's
Yeah,
that
we're one
going?
weekend down. Yeah, one weekend in. It's really going well. We've got 4 shows under our belt, so I think we've knocked a lot of the rust off, so to speak. And I mean, it's going really good. The crowds have been great. My favorite thing is seeing the look on people's faces throughout the night. Just they're so excited and they just look so hopeful and so joyful. And for a couple hours, they get to just forget about whatever else is going on and just remember that God is good.
Yeah, and I got to tell you, man, again, those lyrics and your ability to make music that does do that. You bring people to a place of peace and a place of, and it's so funny because I can tell that every line and every time when you're writing, I can and the vibe that you do create. That's what it does. It makes me want to say, let me prioritize my relationship with God and make sure that I'm putting God first, not what I'm fearing, not what I'm afraid of, not any of that. And running home, you kind of discuss that a little bit. What is running home about?
Man, running home is really kind of chapter 2 of my story, from first album to this album, and the title track especially is it's a revisit of the prodigal son story. I mean, a lot of us are familiar with that story. For me, I really spent so much time worried about returning to the Lord, and after some of the mess that I've walked through, and as if God was just waiting in anger and in punishment. And the prodigal son story ends with the son coming back home. The father sees him, runs to greet him, and I think I was just so afraid that the father was going to greet me with a whip and beat me and punish me for being gone. And that's not how the story goes. The father runs to the son, throws a robe around his back, a ring on his finger, and a kiss on his cheek, and celebrates his return.
Mm-hmm.
And man, that's the welcome home that I received, and that's the welcome home that's waiting for all of us whether we've been wayward for years or just have some things we need to repent of. It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah. So check this out. I feel like sometimes that we put ourselves on God, right? Like because we know what we deserve. I think that's what it is. It's
Yeah,
like you know what I mean? Because we
yeah,
know, like I tell people all the time, like, listen, I know 20 minutes before I'm getting ready to flip out that I'm going to do something stupid. I know, like it's not like sin takes me off guard.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Like I know when it's coming, right? And it's like I had 30 minutes to pray, put on scripture. I didn't, like so then I go, oh man, when it comes down to consequences, I do kind of expect God to be like, I'm done with you, or I'm disappointed, and throw you in, just like you said. But one of the things that gets me about the prodigal son is when he came to himself. When he came to himself, he says that he came to himself. He said, "Man, I know I could go back in my father's house." When he realized, it's not just so much about him, but when he came to himself, he really thought who his father was. And I think sometimes we keep thinking that God's going to treat us the way we deserve to be treated.
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
man.
and that's brave of you to even Let me ask you this, because I'm so glad you said that about the prodigal son. Why are you so willing to be transparent? Where in a lot of Christian music, a lot of us are like, we want to say everything's great all the time. You're more open to the internal warfare that we experience. What drove you to that transparency?
Man, I really think it's been my time in local church ministry. I've been serving at a church for over 10 years now, and I've just rubbed shoulders with enough people, especially young people, to see that I think the days of the facade still connecting with
I got
people
you.
are
Yeah.
over, man. I think especially this new generation of people, if it's not real to them, if they don't see that there's a before and after in people's lives and a journey happening in the Christian faith, and us being open about the journey and honest about the mess that we still carry with us, if we're not transparent about that, I think I think people just don't want anything to do with it. And I think that when you do get real and raw and you're open and you say, you know what, this is what sanctification looks like. This is what, me being saved and the time between my salvation and my eternity, there is a whole process that's happening in my heart.
Yeah.
And I'm not there yet, but I'm not where I was. And I think people need to feel that and see that, because it frees them up then to go, okay, well, then I'm not a one-off. I'm not a mistake, because I feel the same way. And so if you on stage singing to me tell me that you still have problems, then now I feel comfortable talking about my problems.
It's absolutely amazing because, obviously stage being higher, we're on the bottom looking up at you. You're the guy that has it all together. You're the guy that doesn't have it. So a lot of times, and you do feel that, because when you go to a secular concert, what do you see? The people you admire and everything, they're above you and you're watching them. And so for you to take the transparency on the way you do is absolutely phenomenal. The other thing that I have to say is I've been doing this for like 20 years, right? It's just crazy. But I do have a little thing that I notice, right? Like I notice my brothers and sisters, who are awesome, by the way, but I notice the ones that see themselves as celebrities and the ones that don't. You know what I mean? I know there's a difference. And the fact that you and like so many others, you see yourself not as well known as you are. I can tell by the nature of your spirit, you still see yourself as the worship leader.
Yeah, man. I mean, I really don't feel like it's so funny. People, yeah. I mean, I so don't, because I don't even feel like we're that well known. It's so funny, but I do think. I mean, my wife and I still live in a small town in Indiana, and we serve at our church, and it's a smaller church, and I just think we got our roots in, man. And I think that there's enough people in our lives that would call, bull on it if we started to walk around like that. I think people would love us and that say, hey, man, we need some humility,
Yeah. Yeah. So what was it like when you got invited? Tell us, how did you get on the tour? What was it like when you started to realize something's changing? Was it that you put the first song out? Like, when did you know something was changing and in your career was taking this huge turn?
Man, we got invited on the tour by Toby in 2019. He had asked us to come on the 2020 tour, and so that was just a huge. Because we got to know Toby through the record label that I'm on. He's the founder of it. But the moment that I realized, hey, this might be working, was on that tour in LA at the Forum, the legendary Forum. We're playing, open up the show. And we had put Church out the year before to radio, a song called Church Take Me Back.
Yeah.
And it got played across the country, which was wild. But you don't really realize what that means until you get out on the road. And we were playing in the LA Forum in the middle of Los Angeles or Inglewood, wherever. And we start that song and everybody stands up and starts singing and like hollering. And I just had to like set back. It was already cool that we were in LA, that we're playing the Forum. And that moment, I mean, I try not to like cry. I was like, holy smokes, like these people in Los Angeles, California know my song. And it's like, at that point, it's like, you feel like the whole world knows it, because I mean,
that's exactly what happened. Yeah. And that's what I'm saying, is that it wasn't, the music is one thing. It was the lyrics that resonated. Like, you captured a moment that probably 95% of all believers could relate to, whether you're a new believer, whether you've been saved for 60 years. There's these moments where you put like a soundtrack to this place that we all have felt with, and that was your introduction to the world. like man, and I love that you are so transparent about being in a small town in this, because I absolutely have a heart for artists who feel like, oh, it's impossible. You're the story to say, hey, you can make it from that small town and still stay small town. You know what I mean? You can make it where the world knows your music and you can come home to your church, like the way you balance it out. Now, I do have to ask you this about how people can, you know, support you, and your website. What's your website? And put your information out. So if you want to download the album, back in my day we did buy CDs, but I know you're
Yeah,
young.
man.
No, I'm kidding.
Yeah. Yeah, our website is Cochran Music, Cochren music.com. Love for you to check it out. You can see our tour dates. You can find links to download the album. You can also buy physical CDs, which are little plastic things that, you know, are read by light. And we also have vinyls, which I think young people now probably know
Oh,
vinyls
dude.
more than they know
Yeah, they were
CDs, bro.
CDs. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so get
That's a
that,
true
cop
thing.
that vinyl, you know, get that. And then I'd love, man, if you people follow us on Instagram. That's probably the best way to stay
Yeah, getting
with
content on
us.
social media.
Yeah, at Cochran Music, that's my handle, and I'm always posting something on there. Sometimes it's meaningful content, sometimes it's really dumb. So just come along for the ride.
No, I wasn't kicking you off. I don't know how much time you got to go if you got to go, but I know you've been doing this all day. You're like, come on, man, hurry up.
No, man.
All right, so check this out. Check this out. I know that there's pressure that comes with touring and things like that. And one of the things that I try to do is help those who are aspiring artists kind of know this is also work. This is not just, you know, doing shows. So what is a typical day like on tour?
Man, honestly, the tour for me is one of the easier parts when we
Okay.
actually get going. In this season, it didn't used to be that way. We really had to work hard to grow it enough to where I have help on the road now. But man, even 2 years ago, it looked like me waking my butt up early, unloading my merch off the truck, pushing my merch up to the concourse, setting it up for a couple hours, doing radio interviews the rest of the morning, trying to grab a quick lunch, you know, setting my equipment up myself on stage,
Yeah.
doing my sound check, coming back up to training volunteers on the merch table, and then coming back down, playing the show, going back up and meeting people after the show, tearing my stuff down. I mean, it was nonstop. And so now most of my work for the road happens before we go on the road. I feel like sometimes I keep my head clearer on the road now, and then my Monday through Wednesday is a lot of just songwriting and like marketing, strategizing with my label. And it's definitely become a lot more like mind work. It used to be a lot more
Yeah.
physical work, but it's a lot more mind work now. Yeah, man.
Yeah. Now, how do you feel like you know, how's your relationship with social media? Was it easier for you? Like for me, you know, MySpace, I was like, cool, this is awesome. And then Facebook came out. I was like, okay, now it's starting to look like work a little bit. Twitter came out, and I was like, I quit. And I was like, I quit. I'm
Yeah,
not
man.
doing this. And then
Twitter can
it
be a
kept going.
cesspool. Yeah.
Yeah, then it just kept going. How do you manage to keep up with all the social media and all that?
Well, I do. I get help with some of it. Sometimes, like some of the marketing content and things like that, are handled by other entities. But most of the personal stuff, I mean, it's all me. I I really don't like social media. If I'm being honest, I don't like. There's so many
Yeah,
great things about it. I mean, let me caveat that. I
I
mean,
got you, man.
it can be what you make it. It really is special stuff like this online. I mean, there's great things out there. It's great connecting. It's awesome. But I think the negative to it is what it can do to us as a society and our mind, and it can really make us think about ourselves more than we need to, more than what's healthy.
Right, right. Take ourselves
And
too seriously.
yeah, and think about what other people think of us. You know, how many likes am I getting? I mean, that's not healthy in any other part of society, is to worry about how much people like you, but we just accept it for social media. So I don't like it. It's kind of a necessary evil. I do love connecting with listeners and fans. I love that part of it. I love seeing people's comments and commenting back and messaging. That part's really cool to me. So that's what energizes me to keep doing it. Because sometimes it definitely feels like, man, I just feel like I'm promoting myself so much, and that can't be healthy.
No,
You know?
right. No, I got you. I got you. No, it makes total sense. So, and with that being said, with going back to the whole church content, you kind of see the effects that social media has on our young people as well, in their
Yeah.
ability. Yeah, I can totally get that. I totally get that.
I think there's balance. It's all about balance. I think that it's become such a part of society. I'm sure there was people that didn't like the telephone back in the day, like, but I think, altogether it can be really good if you make it good.
No, I totally get it. I totally get it. One of the things that I think about, I love the fact that artists are able to be discovered that normally wouldn't be discovered,
Yeah.
because everything was controlled by radio, television, and that was it. So now it's like you can really find out who's out there. And I know that you were talking about Billy Joel being one of your influences, and Boys to Men, and all of that. And so you pretty much love just music. Basically, that was your thing, is that you fell in love with music. I would love to say, I would love to ask you, when you knew your love for music, did you know that fashion was going to have to come behind that? Because man, you got the thing, you got the eye, you get up there, and dude, seriously,
Man, you
got,
are too kind. You are so
yeah,
kind.
you make me look like a chump, man. I'm like, dude, this guy got it. He's got the thing. You got, like, you coordinate.
Oh man. Well, that is sometimes it's accidental. Maybe it's I don't know. It is funny, especially in today's day and age, the average artist is so much more than a singer, songwriter, performer. I mean, it really is. You got to have some kind of a social media mind. You got to be thinking about what you look like on stage. You got to be able to kind of promote yourself. Like, there's so much more to it than just, I mean, I kind of think about the old guys. I'm like, I don't know if Tom Petty would make it today. Like,
that's a good point.
I don't know if he'd be doing everything it took to, to make it roll. I mean, maybe he would, but yeah, I mean, I definitely get help with it. My wife's got a good eye for fashion, and so
Now I know the culprit. I'm
yeah,
like, there it is, right there.
She doesn't let me leave the house looking like an idiot,
Yeah.
even though I try hard on my own though to do that.
Yeah, listen, it's not in me. People actually just give up on me. They're like, Duke's gonna be Duke. He just, because I don't have it. I don't know what matches. I don't know. But man, when I'm like, dude, you can you put on a jean jacket, man, and I'm like, this guy's got you
can't go wrong with classic, man.
Oh, dude, you get the whole vibe. So I do have to ask that there is a very bluesy feel to your music. Was that a part of your growing up too? The blues, did that have any? I'm just saying, I really feel that vibe.
I mean, I definitely loved Ray Charles as a kid. But it definitely came later in the journey. I mean, I'm a big Need to Breathe fan, and they're kind of a convergence of all kinds of influences.
There you go.
I played my first band that I put together was like a cover band, and we played kind of the bars and corporate gigs and all kinds of stuff. And so like 4-hour sets of everything, and a lot of blues. And I got really into like Stevie Ray Vaughan at one point in time. And I mean, I love music so much, so I'm always going from one thing to another.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. I get it. Well, listen, I know that. Listen, I can talk to you all day. I got so many questions. I can talk to you all day. And I do want. I always have to ask this for those who want to be up and coming artists, and who they always tell me to ask certain questions. And one of the questions I always kind of told to ask is like, how do you not lose your fire when you have to do like a routine set? And the particular person was talking about, feeling like at church they have a routine versus, and it gets kind of old. It's like, man, I'm losing my passion because this routine is not letting me. And so they wanted me to ask you, how do you deal with the routine and keep your passion and keep your fire?
Yeah. How do you fight burnout, right? I think, I mean, for me, it's a constant reflection of why I'm doing it. Because there's definitely like the tedious sides of this artistry and my local church ministry and all of that. And I think when I start looking at it for any other reason than a calling, and when I start viewing it outside of the love that I have for it, it can start to be daunting and it can start to feel really rote. But when I remember why I'm doing it, and for me, one thing that helps me a lot is seeing emails and messages from people like, "Hey, your show last night really did this for me," or "I heard your
Yeah.
song on the radio and it really did this for me." And it's like it's a reminder of, okay, all right, it's not about the money, it's not about how bad we did at merch the night before or whatever it is, all the negatives that make you feel kind of jaded over time. It's or it's about those connections, and what you're doing matters so much. And for people at the local church level, it's like so many people poured into me in my churches growing up,
Yeah.
and they had no idea how they were affecting me, and they probably were so disheartened in their ministry at different times in their life. And I think it would have been helpful for them and for anybody to realize God is working even when it feels routine, even when it feels mundane. When you're in ministry, God's doing something eternal, and it may not always feel like it's special, but it is. And so, hopefully that they're able to remember why they do it, and maybe God will bless them with those moments of getting to see some of the fruit, because that always helps. Is sometimes you feel like it's fruitless, and so when God moves the veil back a little and lets you see the fruit of what you're doing, the fruit of your labor on some kind of scale, that's always encouraging.
Yeah. Now, I do got to ask you this, because you just talked about walking out on stage, and first of all, being in, to come on Toby Mac's label, being like signed to his label, and uh, going from a little church. There's this thing called fear that will try to tell you you can't make it. How did you deal with that initial fear that this was going to happen, that this is really happening, and like how did first of all, how did fear try to stop you, and how did you deal with it?
I mean, there's definitely the fear up front of anytime you put effort into something, there's the risk that it doesn't work, and you feel like a fool or you feel like a failure or whatever. And it's always sometimes easier not to try, especially if you have a fear of rejection. And so that was definitely up front. It's like, what if it's easy to look back on something and go, well, it didn't work out because I never really gave it my all. And you can kind of cop out on that, But when you really give your all to something and you really try, there's that risk that it doesn't work. And then what can you hide behind if you really, really tried? So I think there's that fear of putting yourself out there like that. And I had to come to a place where it's like, all fears aside, I would rather look back at my life and go, I gave it everything, and I have nothing to look onto it except for the Lord didn't will it, rather than, man, I was too scared to really try.
I always tell people the main reason you can't give in to fear is because it will haunt you. It's not like it just stops because you didn't do it. It follows you, it haunts you, and then it turns on you. And it's like, oh, you should have did. You should, that's the worst part, is when it turns on you, and those moments of fear. I try to just encourage people. These are the moments where you wrap yourself in prayer. You know what I mean? And so I got to ask you, how do you find time to get in prayer? How do you find that time to do that?
It's not always easy. I just try to be intentional about starting my day with prayer. So for me, sometimes it's as simple as like in the shower, I'm praying. And I know that the main goal is to have undistracted time with the Lord, but sometimes I do good to have multitasking time with the Lord. I pray when I'm driving a lot of times. Sometimes it's like, Lord, help me not to open my car door into this person next to me or something. But like I just try to make little moments, and the past probably 4 or 5 years, I've been trying to be intentional about having like a ongoing conversation with the Lord throughout the day, rather than just simply, time here, time there. I feel like if I kind of keep him on the line, so to speak, and don't hang up, then it's easier when I think of things, just like, and also, God, would you help me with this or this person here, rather than thinking it has to be some ceremonial, I dial in and I, have this this. I mean, nothing against the prayer closet. I think those are special times, special things, but it may not be realistic for everybody.
I think that is going back to what you said about this particular generation is hungry on a different level where they want God a part of their reality. It's almost like if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
Yeah.
For
Yeah,
sure.
I think they've become disenfranchised with so many things around them because I think that they're just such a exposed generation to so many things so young. They've been through so much already. They can just smell when things are not genuine, and I think it's important to model a genuine faith for everyone.
Yeah. And like I said, I know you got to go, but I want to let you know, man, that we are here for you at Current FM. If you ever need us for anything, man, we got your back. Thank you so much for everything that you do. You are absolutely amazing. And I got to tell you something, man. Every time I watch you, watch one of your videos and watch you sing, it's almost like you're singing it for the first time. And I thank you for being so sensitive, not just to the Spirit of God, but to other people. Like, hey, let me give it my all because they may not have heard it. They may have not. No. So I thank you for being so genuine, and you just got such a great spirit, man. So you got a family here at WJLZ Current FM, and just make sure you know. And when I say that, I actually mean that. I'm not just another DJ. I'm like, we really do love your music. We really do love you. And I'm going to put up the dates for the tour again. The wrong date. So here's the dates for the tour. So when you're in, they'll be here in the Hampton Roads area in Norfolk, Virginia at the Chartway Arena on February 26th. Is this your first time here?
Yeah, man. I don't think I've played Norfolk before.
Oh man, it's gonna be awesome. So this is gonna be great. This is gonna be awesome. Hopefully we can connect and find some time to get you to come to the studio or something. I don't know. You already got. I know it's busy out there, but guys, this has been an amazing interview. Thank you so much, brother.
Man,
if you need anything, to come WJLZ Current FM, we got you, man. And I tell you what, you got his website. It's CochernMusic.com. Keep updated because I'm pretty sure you're in the studio working on new stuff all the time.
Yeah.
I do have to ask you one more question before we go. Just one more. Like, how critical are you before you release this song? Because you seem like the type.
Like how much do I scrutinize over it? You mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely do, man. I mean, for this record, I wrote probably 50 songs, and we had a whole batch of songs we felt good about, and then I was like, you know what? No, throw them out. We're going to write more. We're going to write different ones.
Yeah, dude. I totally knew you. Like, this is a hit. This is it. We're going to do it. It's like, nah. Yeah, I knew you were there.
Keep mining. You got to keep mining until you get to the gold, man.
Gotcha, man. All right, well, everybody.
Man, thank you so much.
Yeah, man. You've been a blessing. This is CochernMusic.com. Hits deep. Make sure you check out the tour on his website. Make sure you check it. Make sure you come to the tour February 26th, Chartway Arena. You're here with Michael Cochern. I'm Duke White, WJLZ Current FM. Thanks to our sponsor, Savior Connect. God bless you guys.